Assalamu alaikum. Do you know that in the English language sometimes we make sentences like if you had told me I would have visited you. For someone who says I've been sick for the past 6 weeks, and you would tell the person if you had told me I would have visited you. In the Arabic language we have a particle for conveying such message, and that particle is law. Law, which means if. Either also means if. We're going to discuss either later. Now let's discuss the usage of law. Law in the Arabic language is simply defined as harfum tina'in limtina, which simply means a particle which shows the absence of an action or the failure of an action due to the failure of another. Let's go back to the statement you made earlier. You said, if you had told me I would have visited you. This statement has two parts. The first part is that you did not visit him, and this is because he never told you. So if he had told you, you would have visited him. You did not visit him because he did not tell you. Can you see? So in the Arabic language, this particle can be used in this manner to convey a lot of messages. Let me get an example. I can say, لو شاهدت المنظر لبكيت. If you had witnessed the incidents, you would have cried. Can you see? Meaning, you did not witness the sights, and therefore you never cried. You did not cry. Can you see? لو شاهدت المنظر لبكيت. You would have cried. And today we have a lot of sentences like this that we are going to be giving to you from the book Durusul Lughatil Arabiyyah. And from these sentences you can simply relax, cram them, and use them at ease without thinking how to use them or not. Can we dive into this? Let's go. We have here what David Darcy in the lesson 12 of this book. We read one of the sentences that appeared there was لو عرفت أنك تأتي إلى بلدي. The student was communicating to the teacher. He said, oh my teacher, لو عرفت أنك تأتي إلى بلدي. If I had known you were coming to my city, to my town, لاستقبلتك في المطار. I would have welcomed you in the airport. Can you see? This means that the student never went to welcome the teacher because the teacher did not tell him. So the student said, لو عرفت أنك تأتي إلى بلدي. If I had known you were coming to my city, I would have come to the airport to welcome you. Now here you see the word لو. He said لو حرف امتناع لامتناع. It is like a hypothetical particle, a particle of condition, a conditional particle, which shows the failure of one part due to the failure of another. وتفيد ثلاثة أمور. This particle has three meanings. It stands for, it represents three meanings. The first one is الشرطية. It stood for condition. لو, if, لو, it is a conditional particle. تقييد الشرطية بالزمن الماضي. This particle also make the condition, also make the statement to be a conditional statement which is simply attached to the past only. لو سافرت, if you had traveled. This is in the past, it cannot be returned. The action is already performed in the past. Can you see? Now this particle al-imtina, it is also used to show failure, abstinence from something due to another. An example is when I say لو اجتهدت لنجحت. If you had strived, if you had worked hardly or seriously, لنجحت, you would have succeeded, you would have passed. You are telling a student that لو اجتهدت, if you were hardworking, if you had taken your studies seriously, لنجحت, you would have succeeded. First, this is a conditional statement. If only you were hardworking, this is a conditional statement. Second, this conditional statement is in the past. You are saying لو اجتهدت, if you were hardworking, meaning in the past. This is irreversible. That one is gone, unless if you want to become hardworking in the future. But the past is gone. Then لنجحت, because you were not hardworking, you did not pass. If only you were hardworking, you would have succeeded. معناه, this means that لم تجتهد, you were not hardworking, فلم تنجح, and you did not pass. يقترن جوابها المثبت باللام. Now this law that we have told you about, you will see that whenever since it is a conditional statement, and every conditional statement has the opposite, which is the answer, which we call the jawabu shart. That is the answer, the response to that. What is the response from this statement? What I said, law ijtahadta. This conditional statement is if you were hardworking. Now the response is la najahta, you would have passed. So the word la will be joined to the response, la najahta, you would have passed. Now wala yaqtarinu biha jawabuha al-manfi. However, if the response is a negative response, la with the lam will not be attached to it. Yajuzu aksuhu wa hadha qalil. Sometimes the lam can also be attached, but this is very minimal, it is uncommon. An example, you say law sami'tu qissatahu la bakaita. If you had he had his story, if you had his story, if you were to hear his story, you would have cried. Can you see? La bakaita, you would have cried. Number 2, we have قال المدرس لحامد. The teacher said to the Hamid, لو حضرت أمسي, if you were present yesterday, ما شكوتك إلى المدير, I won't have complained you to the principal. ما شكوتك, here the lie is not there. Number 3, we have هذا طعام فاسد. This is a spoiled food. لو أكله الناس لمرضوا. If people were to eat it, they will become sick. Can you see law? How to use law? MashaAllah. Number 4, we have لو رأيت ذاك المنظر لبكيت. If you were to see that sight, you would have cried. Number 5, we have لو عرفت أن الرحلة اليوم ما تأخرت. If I knew the journey is today, I won't have delayed, I won't have stayed late. Can you see? ما تأخرت, I won't have stayed. So this is very simple. Now we have a short exercise. This is also going to better your understanding of how to use the law of condition, the conditional law particle, in sentences in the Arabic language. And you know, as we learn the Arabic language, alongside it, we also learn the English language. Thumbs up for us. Here we have adkhil law. You are to introduce the particle law al jumal al-atiya into the following sentences وغير ما يلزم, and change whatever is important for you to change. The first sentence we have is ضربني ذاك الولد, then ضربته is the answer. You say لو ضربني ذاك الولد. If that boy had beaten me, la ضربته, I would have beaten him. Number 2, we have عرفت أن المدرس مسافر. I knew the teacher is traveling. ما جئت, I did not come. So you say لو عرفت أن المدرس مسافر. If I knew, if I had known the teacher was traveling, ما جئت, I wouldn't have come. تأخرت دقيقتين. I was late for 2 minutes. فاتتني الطائرة. I missed the flight. So you say لو تأخرت دقيقتين. If I had delayed for 2 minutes, لفاتتني الطائرة. The flight would have missed, I would have missed the flight. Number 4, we have سمعت تلاوة هذا القارئ بكيت. لو سمعت قراءة هذا القارئ. If you had listened, if you had heard the recitation of this reciter, لبكيت, you would have cried. Number 5, we have قرأت هذه القصة ضحكت كثيرا. You say لو قرأت هذه القصة. If you had read that story, this story, لضحكت كثيرا, you would have laughed a lot. Next we have عرفت أنه يكذب. I knew he is lying. You say لو عرفت أنه يكذب. If only I knew he was lying, ما ساعدته, I won't have helped him. And lastly we have زادت درجاتي بنصف درجة. My mark increased by half. نجحت بتقدير ممتاز. I would have passed with excellent grade. So you say لو زادت درجاتي بنصف درجة. If I had increased my scores by half, لنجحت بتقدير ممتاز. I would have passed with excellent grades. Now we have another exercise which says Akmilin naqis fi mayali, complete the incomplete in the following. Next we have law. We say law wajtahadtu ma rasabtu, if I was hardworking, I wouldn't have failed. Number 2 we have law arafta annaka ta'ti ila al-madinati, if I knew you were coming to the city, lastaqbaltuk, I would have welcomed you or received you. Number 3 we have dash. Here I will simply say law akaltu dhaka ta'ama lamaritu, if I had eaten that food, I would have become sick. And number 4 we have lafatatna rak'atun law ta'akharna nisfa daqiqatin, if we had delayed for half a minute, lafatatna rak'atun, we would have missed a rak'ah, unit of the prayer. Number 3 we have adkhil law fi jumlatin la yakuna jawaban fil ula muthbatan wa fi thaniya manfiyan, you are to introduce the word law in the following 2 sentences, and the first one, the response to the condition should be a positive response, while in the second, the response should be a negative one. Now, the first sentence you have to make, I will simply say law dhahabta ila al-mat'am la wajadta ta'am, if you had gone to the dining, you would have found the food. Secondly, I will say law ibtahadta ma rasabta, if you were hardworking, you wouldn't have failed. Now, this is the end of the topic on law. We have this addition to make. The word min qablu from our previous discussion, yubna qablu wa ba'du. The word qablu before and ba'du, both of them are fixed on dhamma, qablu and ba'du. As long as these words are not coming as the possessed, they are not coming as mudafun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran that lillahi al-amru min qablu wa min ba'du. To Allah belongs the matter in the beginning, in the before and after. We have the general exercise which says hati mudari al-af'al al-atiyah. We are to provide the present tense of the following verbs. The first one is istaqbala yastaqbilu, intadhara yantadhiru, safara yusafiru, sa'ada yusa'idu, rahaba yurahibu, makatha yamkuthu, labitha yalbathu, kasaba yaksibu, fata yafutu, darra yadurru. MashaAllah. Next, hati mufrad, bring the singular form of these words. Zuwarun zairun, shidadun shadidun. Next, we have hati jama, bring the plural form of these words. Jarihun jurha or jarha, nafsun anfus. Next, we have hati did. We are to bring the opposite of this word, darra, nafa. MashaAllah. And lastly, we have adkhil kulla kalimati mimma yati fi jumlatin mufida. We are to place the following words in a complete sentences. The first is khalin. We can say dakhaltu fi baytin khalin, I entered into a free room, an empty room. Next is jarihun. I can say ra'aytu rajulan, I can say ra'aytu jarihan fil mustashfa, I saw the injured in the hospital. Istaqbala, I can say istaqbalani al-mudarrisu, the teacher welcomed me. The next is darra. I can say darrani Muhammadun bima yaqul, Muhammad harmed me with what he's saying. The next is sa'ada. I can say sa'adani abi bilhiml, my father helped me with the load. And next is fata. I can say fatatnil waqt, fatanil waqt, the time passed by me. The next is rahaba. I can say rahaba bina al-mudarris, the teacher welcomed us. With this, we come to the end of this lesson. We ask Allah to bless each and every one of us and increase our knowledge. Make sure you like, share with your friends, and throw comments in the comment section. Until we meet again, jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum.